my heart dropped. I remember like reading the letter, fucking looking up, fucking discouraged as fuck. I like put my back against the refrigerator and I'm like, I slowly started like sitting on the floor, like dragging myself. Sat on the floor and I was like, my son, he's 2 years old around that time. He comes around like, what's wrong, daddy? No, nothing. I'm fine. He's like, no. He's like, it's okay. And it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Bro, like my skin, like I'm getting like goosebumps.
What's up, everybody? This is the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast. I am your host, Carlos Castro, with my co-host,
Jose Gallegos. What's going on, guys?
All right. How was your weekend?
It was really good, man. Had a really good, laid back, chill weekend. I'm going ham on working out right now.
Damn.
Spent some time with the fiance, watched the movie on Netflix. And I say like that because I always spend time with him, always with my family, but like we never get to like sit down and watch a movie or anything because we have kids and kids take over TVs, and they're always either on their shows or doing whatever. So yeah, we actually got to sit down. Saturday night was movie night. We saw some really good movies. We like the suspense / a little bit of action.
What did you guys watch?
Damn,
the name already.
It was just like on the top 10. And we just read the little about, and then we're like, cool. Let's do this one. And then Sunday, my son's back on playing soccer on Sundays.
Ooh.
So we did basketball Saturday, and then Sundays was soccer. And yeah, it was just pretty laid back weekend.
Nice. How's the working out going for you?
Painful.
Yeah.
I'm hurting. Like every part of my body's hurting right now.
Are you doing like a lot of weightlifting, or are you doing like more cardio based?
I'm gonna go with weightlifting right now.
Okay.
I'm going hard with weightlifting because I feel like that itself will cut the fatties and stuff. But I am inputting like 2 days of Peloton and then running on a treadmill.
Nice.
So 1 and 1.
So you're working out every day.
Every day, yeah. Okay. Right now, I mean, there's always like the one thing you have to hear, right? And like I heard this podcast the other day where it's like, we would always go, since we started the podcast ourselves, we're like, yeah, we're, fitness is part like, but there's this one podcast I heard with Andy Frisella and, what was it? Tim Grover. Yeah. And if you guys don't know who Tim Grover is, he's like the mental coach of all mental coaches with, he trained Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. And, just that podcast itself was like, eye opener for me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ham, like, and it's happening. I'm doing it, and I'm set to it, and I'm not, we're in early March,
How do you feel like mentally also, but like how do you feel physically as well? Like, do you feel like more mobile? Do you feel like you got a little more pep in your step?
Not right now because I'm sore as shit, but right now I feel like immobile. I could kind of barely walk. Like yesterday was bad. Like I was like fucking.
Where you did legs on Saturday or what?
Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Friday was.
Oh, so you've been sore for a few days. Yeah, that happens.
And right now it's barely like a little bit better, but then my back, my biceps, my shoulders, like everything's hurting. My core's freaking burning. Bro. Like, but it's one of those. We always talk about it, like those uncomfortable feelings, or like, the next day I didn't want to work out. Like Saturday, then Sunday I was like, fuck this, I'm fucking hurting. But it was like, I gotta do it. Like Tim Grover was in my brain telling me, motherfucker.
You're once you get started and you make it a repetitive thing, it becomes easy for you. Right now you're at that stage right now where you're kind of restarting the engine again. Things are sounding different and making weird movements and stuff. But like once you get the ball rolling and once you start to get a good schedule going for yourself, it's gonna be like night and day. Right now it's just you got to get the ball rolling. Yeah. So.
What about yourself? How was your weekend?
I also worked out this weekend. I was I'm getting closer to my competition that I'm going to be doing on the 18th. And, I'm just trying to get, honestly, right now, my focus is just trying to lose muscle. Like lose weight, but which
Get a little more lean.
I'm gonna be losing muscle. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid, like, at least now for the next 2 weeks, because the competition's in 2 weeks. Majority of my workouts or my exercises are gonna be conditioning, cardio based stuff.
Nice.
Very minimal weightlifting. Just so I could bring my weight down. Yeah, I mean, I kind of crushed it this Saturday too. Like, I try to burn like over 1,000 calories in
Holy smokes.
my workout on Saturday morning, and it was worth it. I feel like it was worth it. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool, and then also, like, even though, like, I burned all those calories that morning, like, I still got on the treadmill at night and ran like 3 miles while I was watching the UFC, because it was like pretty good. This last UFC event was amazing. A women's
main event, like
there was 2 championship fights. It was John Bones Jones. He's known as like the greatest of all time. He comes back, takes the sweep on that one, and then Valentina Shevchenko, who is known as like the best flyweight champion of the world, like, she hasn't been defeated, I don't know how many years, like, it's been a minute, and she lost to a Mexican fighter.
Oh, really?
So now Mexico has 3 champions. She's the first fighter from the first woman champion from Mexico. So I remember, like, when it happened, I just jumped. I got off the couch. I was like, oh my gosh, this really happened. Like, it's just like, it's so exciting to see, like, your people, like, be in those places, because it's like, we don't really find ourselves in that situation too often. So, like, when you see somebody win, that's part of your culture, that's part of your heritage, that's part of, like, your skin, like, who you are, like, it feels so much better.
Yeah.
To watch them win. So I jumped. It was yelling like, yeah, oh my
excitement,
God.
huh?
Yeah. So
That's
the last
awesome.
time that happened, that's when Brandon Moreno, the other Mexican champion, won. Same energy. I just, like, I don't know. It's just different when, like, it's your people. It's so different.
We're making it, man. We're making it. We're getting to those places where we haven't really visited before, and like you said, it's really exciting. It's encouraging, because it also helps, other people see that and say, hey, man, like, yes, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, si se puede, that good old, si se puede,
Mm-hmm.
like, we could be there too, and that's part of the reason why we do this ourselves too, is like to help encourage and motivate, younger or people our age or whatever, any age realistically, of our culture, of our heritage, and say, hey, we can be on top too, man. Like, we don't have to just sit and see people on the sidelines winning, that are, because they have better opportunity. We're all equal here, man. We're going to make it happen.
There's plenty for everybody too. Like, don't be discouraged that, like, we talked about it last week's podcast about discouragement. Like, don't be discouraged that because you see other people winning, that you can't get yours too. You can win, and winning is it's not just one thing. It's not just entrepreneurship. Like, winning is also like getting a college degree and pursuing that. Like, winning is, saying you want to be the best. You want to be the best employee for the company that you work for. Like, winning has so many different ways of viewing it. It doesn't matter. We just want to help people and inspire people to keep hitting it. To keep growing, to keep going.
Yeah. Right on. So then she won the championship, and so now 3 Mexicans are holding.
3. Yeah, one of them's an interim. I don't know what an interim is.
Well, I'm new to UFC. I know I'm getting into it because of you.
Yeah, so an interim is a title that's like a, it's not a real title, but like, it means you're gonna get the opportunity to fight for the title.
Oh, okay. But it's still up there. I mean,
but he's still won. So we'll see how that goes. That's gonna be a pretty big fight. But yeah, it's three Mexicans, and they're Mexican. Like, they're born in Mexico. It's not like they're born here. They're from Mexico, and they're killing it. And it's crazy because, like, not too long ago, Mexico was not a very like approachable or like big in mixed martial arts. Like, it was usually a lot of Brazilians. A lot of Brazilians are like number 1 in mixed martial arts, and then everybody else is behind them. But like, Mexico wasn't there either. Like, mixed martial arts wasn't that big, And then now that she won, mixed martial arts for women is gonna blow up in Mexico now. It's insane. Like it's crazy like how much happens just by that simple win. Yeah. And that wasn't a simple win, but by that win, like so much is gonna happen for that community. So
and it's crazy because the gentleman the champion, what was his name again?
Brandon Moreno.
So he's the one with the famous quote, right? Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. And jumping into our subject that we had today is a perfect example of like, hey, you may want to quit, or like, he set his mind to like, I know it didn't happen today, and it may not gonna happen tomorrow, but one day he's gonna be the champion. So he programmed his mind, and I'm sure there was probably a lot of situations along the way where he wanted to drop the ball or he wanted to quit. But look at what he can achieve. He was the first Mexican, right, to achieve it?
Yeah. Let me give you some backstory on that. So Brandon Moreno is a flyweight fighter. He fights for the 135-pound division for the UFC. He came on to the UFC off of TUF, which is the Ultimate Fighter, and it's a show that basically just displays people who want to be fighters, and they find people around the world or around the United States, and he was a part of that show. Oh. So he came to the US. He trained out here. I think it was at Jackson Wink in Arizona. He trained out there. He, basically did the tough thing. I don't think he won the event, but he either did win the event or he didn't. I can't really, don't quote me on that one. But he ended up joining the UFC after.
Nice.
Got a couple wins under his belt, and then ended up losing a couple times. He gets kicked out of the UFC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got kicked out of the UFC. Yeah, he got kicked out of the UFC, then comes back into the UFC, and then just goes through a whole storm of just defeat. And then now he's the champion, and he's fought for that belt, I think 3 or 4 times already. I think it's 4 times now. So
wow.
It's very motivating, and definitely it's inspiring. Like if you haven't heard that quote or haven't seen anything on it, I really highly encourage you to do it, because it really is like, I don't know, it gives you goosebumps when you listen to it. Like you're just like, you listen to it, and then like you see the transition from him like losing and not being able to be champion. He's like, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I'm gonna be a champion. And like
that's awesome. I mean, even to be honest, even for myself, like when I see that, and I got into UFC because of you, but like he set such a high standard and such a good example for our community, for our culture. And like even for myself, like being born in Mexico, coming here at 6-7 years old, and then my parents did a great job raising me, did what they could. And then now that I'm older, like I see all the opportunities that are around us, bro. Like I can't waste a day or a month or even a year. I'm not doing shit with my life, because I'm here to be honest, in America, and there's opportunity for all, dude. And like coming from Mexico, having the opportunity to be here as an immigrant, and like building what I've built, like to me it's a win. We're not, this guy is already global. It's probably global, no? Like, yeah, global. Like
he's huge. He's like a superstar now in Mexico and around the world too.
Yeah. So it's just a prime example of like, there is no limitations other than in your mind. Like that's what's going to set you and limit you from achieving or not achieving, the disciplines, the habits, your actions, and not quitting, not giving up, not dropping the ball. Simply just by moving forward through fire, ice, glass, whatever it is, any barrier, you got to push through that. And I think that's where we all need to, come together and say, yes, we can do this, and we will do this by uplifting other people when they're down or when they feel like, quitting.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why we decided to do this podcast, was primarily for motivating, for helping people, for expressing that like, hey, there is tough times. Hey, there's times that are crazy, but if you continue the stride that you're continuing, and you continue to put that work and that effort into that, you will see the reward. There's no story that I heard, or there's never been a story of successful person that says I didn't have to go through all this, bullshit in order to get where I'm at. You ask any successful person, they gone through some shit to get to where they're at. There's so many stories out there. And, we hope to be one of those stories too in the future, that we could say, hey, we did all this. We went through all this. We started this podcast. Look where we're at now. Like we thought about this podcast years ago, but didn't really invest our time or anything into it. And within the last few months, and look at the turnout. Like we've reached so much people now in the last few months, and it's insane. Like we're barely getting started. We're not even 100% just working on it. We're just doing it when we can right now.
Yeah.
So it's insane to see how quick we're getting what we're getting, and it's telling us that we need to keep going. Even on those days where we're like today I woke up and I've been working out like crazy and I didn't want to do anything. I remember I work out of my garage. I built a gym in my garage, and I was stretching in my garage, and I literally was like dozing off as I was stretching, which is like, that hasn't really happened in a while. So I was like, I'm feeling it. And I'm like, I'm waiting. Maybe Jose's going to text me and tell me like, yo, let's cancel today. And I was, but not. But look what ended up happening. We're here. We're talking about that same situation. We're building off of each other and just making moves. Like that's all it is like helping each other. So, don't find, it's shitty. It's a shitty situation to be in when like you're in the middle of it. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're in the middle of it. Like, and it's hard to take advice from people when you're in the middle of it. Cause like people go, oh, it'll be okay. Don't worry. Or X, Y, and Z. And you're like, fuck you. You don't know how I feel right now. But in reality, they may know how you feel because they also have been in that situation. Usually when I'm in that situation, I tend to close my doors and try to zone in and not like really listen to anybody. But like what I've been doing now is a lot more different now. Like I've been more open now. Like, and I express it, I'm kind of going through it right now. Whether I express it to my wife or I express it to you, I usually talk to you a lot about these things as well.
Yeah.
You guys always have great, comments or opinions to give me when I'm in that situation. It really does help in that moment, so if you find yourself in a situation where you just want to quit, you don't want to give up, you're tired of the bullshit, you're tired of hitting it, you're tired of going every single day, don't give up, because there's a reason why. There's a literal reason why. We can't tell you what the reason is why, is because it's entirely up to you and what your goal is. But there's a reason why you should not quit. There's a reason.
And 100%. And only that person knows why. What are they fighting for? Why did they start this in the first place? Mm-hmm. What were they really trying to obtain out of it? So and sometimes you just have to find ways to motivate yourself. You gotta get in your brain, get in your head, talk to yourself out of the bullshit of quitting or dropping the ball, and think about it. Does it really make sense to quit? You work 12 months, 18 months, 24 months to build something. You work so fucking hard. You sacrifice so much because it's getting hard. You want to drop the ball and quit, and you're gonna go start something else. And is it gonna be a repetitive cycle? 10 years are going to pass. What did you do with your life?
That's all you're going to be known for.
Yeah. Like, so fight through the adversity, fight through the complications. That is hard. It's hard. You're right. Sometimes we don't want to listen like, oh, what do you know? You wouldn't know what I'm going through, bro. Think about it. It's a simple, in a way, not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy, but it's simple because we all go through the same shit. You've gone through it. I've gone through it. A lot of people watching are going through it. And all it is understanding the problem and knowing how to divert your way to find a solution. Whether it is money, whether it's financial, but there's always a solution. Even we have the saying right in our culture, hey, there's always a solution to everything except for death. Todo tiene solución menos la muerte. That's because we try to motivate ourselves. Hey, something goes wrong, we're gonna solve the problem. Unless obviously you die, then you can't solve anything ever again in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just as easier said than done. But when you're in there, when you really just want to drop the ball, just know that the grass is not greener on the other side. It's the same bullshit everywhere.
Yeah, it's the same grass.
You're gonna be going through the same shit. It's just you in your mind fighting with the demons.
Yeah.
You gotta get through it. You gotta work in your own brain on how to get surpassed that.
And just learning how to manage that too really helps a lot. Like, cause I notice too now, like when I become more open to certain situations, if I'm going through a hard time or if I'm dealing with something struggling that I can't get through, taking a step back from the situation and kind of reminding yourself, okay, what did I do last time when I was here? Or what did so-and-so suggest the last time I was here? Mm-hmm. So now whenever I find myself in a tough spot, I go down my checklist of what I need to do in order to get myself out of the situation to find the solution. And yeah, there is a solution. There's a solution for everything. No matter what it is, there's a solution. No matter how hard you may think it is, there's a solution. And, you know, the only solution that we don't suggest for you to take is quitting. Yeah. Just don't take that solution. Quitting should be way at the bottom of your list. It shouldn't even be close to even thought. Yes, it pops up in my head all the time. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. All the time it pops in my head. Why am I doing this? What's the purpose of this? Like, you see other people on social media, I do this and that, and look at me, check me out. But, you don't know their life story. You don't know how long it took them to get there. You don't even know what they're doing exactly. We don't even know. Mm-hmm. So you cannot compare yourself to other people first and foremost when it comes to this. And especially if you find yourself in that situation of like low self-esteem and you're just like really down and you're going through a hiccup, put the phone away. Put that damn phone away. Put it to the side. Don't look for anything. And if you are going to look for something, look for some motivational shit that's going to help you build your self-esteem. Yeah. Don't look for anything that's going to make you feel lower and less than, And you gotta talk, you gotta reach out, and you gotta make sure that you're not doing this alone. Yeah. If you're doing this alone, it's gonna be a very, very hard journey. And I've learned that. I've always been a lone wolf my whole entire life. I've always been a person that's just like, I got this. And now as I begin to get older, I have a family, I surround myself with more people. I started realizing like, I can't do this alone. I need help. Sometimes I do need to ask for help. Sometimes I do need to ask for advice. And it's as simple as asking. There's been times where I've asked you for advice and I come in before the podcast and I'm like thinking some kind of way and I'm a little bummed out or whatever. And then we talk after the podcast. And I'm like, yo, this and that. And then you're like, man, just do this and do that. And then I'm like, the freaking light switch just clicks in my head. And I'm like, how come I didn't think about that?
And that's true. And you know why it happens, and kind of what I've learned in my experience and through what I've read and stuff. Normally that happens because we're always chasing something, right? We're always chasing the object, but it's always getting further and further. Yeah. And that creates a schedule basically, or a rhythm in your life that you only focus in that. Mm-hmm. So you get trapped in that. They call it like thinking outside the box, right? We're not really thinking outside the box. We're not thinking of alternatives. We're only thinking, how do I get to that goal, or how do I get to that object? Why is it getting further? And, you're like the hamster in the wheel, or the rat race, they want to call it. So your brain is only doing these things. Like you wake up, you work out, you work hard, you go do your task, your critical task, you come back, you have dinner, you have spent time with your kids, and it's always the same thing.
It's the same cycle.
So when we run into certain situations, we don't know how to act sometimes because our brain is so programmed to do the same thing over and over again. Yeah. That's why they always say it's important to, be in a room alone and really start to question yourself, question your journey, questions the problems you have, and solutions will arise. That's what they even say. Bill Gates goes on freaking once a year. He goes on a private island, takes a suitcase of books, freaking, I don't know if you knew that, but he'll go to an island, a house he has somewhere in an island, takes a suitcase of books alone for like 3 weeks, just reads and writes down notes and thinks, and probably because he's away from the typical cycle, the rat race that he's always, working in his businesses or whatever.
I don't know if you've heard, I don't know if I told you this, but I actually, right now I'm listening to a book called Essentialism. And they also speak about the same thing you're talking about right now. And I'm literally on that same topic right now, where a lot of people talk about how a lot of business owners do this, and a lot of big time business owners do this. Like I think the founder of LinkedIn does this too, where he sets an hour out of his week where he just literally puts himself in a room just to process and think and kind of collect his thoughts and what he does. And those are things that we encourage too. Like if these successful people are doing it, there's a reason why they're doing it and why it's helping, I suggested earlier about putting the phone away. When you're in that situation, put the phone away. If you need to pick up a call or answer a message, do that. But get as minimal contact with social media as much as possible, because social media can be a beneficial thing as well, but it can also be something bad for you, especially when you're in that mindset.
How do they say, double-edged sword?
It's a double-edged sword, yeah. So I highly encourage doing that too. I've actually considered doing it for myself too, because I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to manage people, and then I'm also managing myself, and then I also have kids, and I have a wife, and then I'm training, and then I'm doing this, and there's so many things happening, and then it's crazy. It's crazy when a freaking monkey wrench gets thrown at you. You're like, oh shit, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do right now? Like, I don't know. This is not familiar for me. And me, I have the tendencies of panicking. I'll be like, I have high anxiety, so I'll fucking create so many thoughts and narratives in my head, and I'll be like this, that, and third, and then I end up getting to the end of that, and I'm like, what the fuck was I tripping about? What was I worried about? What was I concerned about? What was I overthinking about?
Yeah.
But it's because we don't allow ourselves to process and think. Exactly. We jump to conclusion, and I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to see what happens if I set aside at least 30, I'm going to try to say 10 minutes a day where I don't touch anything. I don't do anything. I just sit there and I just think and process my thoughts, and we'll see where it takes me.
It's going to help. It's going to help. Trust me. As busy as you've known me since I started my business or whatever. And I'm everywhere. I'm almost like a chicken without a head. I'm running around trying to freaking figure out my life every day. But surprisingly enough, when I learned that method, I'm always in my truck by myself doing estimates, whatever. That's my time. That's when turn off the radio. I don't put my headphones on, whatever. And I'm just driving. And like, of course I'm focused on the road, but that's my time where like, there's nothing around me, any noise other than that big ass diesel engine. But, but that's when I start to process things and start to look at, where am I failing, or where can I become better with my kids, with my family, with my finances, whatever. That's my time to just really find a quiet space, think, and look for solutions. When the problems arise, I look for solutions. And at the end of the day, I already have like a couple things figured out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this different, because it was quiet. There was not a lot of movement, not too much noise. And I'm always in the run. Like I'm like, that's why, like, the other day we were driving to the job sites. I'm on the slow lane. You're like, bro, you might want to go around this rig. But I'm used to just
used to that
taking
rhythm,
my time and just enjoying the time to drive, and just thinking of all these issues that are going on that I can, want to think outside the box. Because when I'm go, your brain doesn't give you the solutions right away.
That's true. I do get a lot of good thoughts and a lot of good ideas when I'm in that motion, that mindset where I'm just chilling. For me, it's the same thing. I'm all over the place. Fucking left and right, up and down.
You're a lot more organized.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little more organized. I actually have like structure. And I was noticing that recently is that if there's no structure in my day to day, I will fuck it up. Yeah. I will fuck it up, and I will fuck it up good. Yeah. And I've become accustomed to that aspect of making sure that there's structure in my day. So Sunday, Monday, I'm usually planning my week. Usually Sundays, but if it might bleed over to Monday, depending on if I get approvals for potential quotes or meeting with people. But Sunday, Monday is usually the days that I try to plan out my week, so then I'm not spending Wednesday. What am I doing? What am I doing? Because I know if I'm spending Wednesday, what am I doing? What am I doing? Guess what? I have a nice TV in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one home. Let's watch some TV.
Yeah.
And then, or, anything that you can find to just not do work. Because that's just how I work. Like, I will distract myself instantly. So if I don't give myself deadlines, if I don't schedule my day to day, if I don't plan out my day, I'm going to find reasons not to work. I'm going to find reasons to get distracted. And then we're going to get to a point by the end of the week where it's like, oh no, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. And then you get overwhelmed and then you want to quit.
Yeah. And I think that's what also creates, or helps solve and decrease the anxiety levels and this urgency of just quitting, because, when everything is so crazy and everything's, all these voices in your head and, you're everywhere, you want to just like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done with this crap. Like, but building structure, I've learned that from you. Like I'm heavily working on that, getting a little more organized, structure, organizing my days. I mean, we know Monday's podcast, we know, Thursday's recording. So, Saturday we might put in another thing too, but we're always checking in a day or two even before. Mm-hmm. And I'm not perfect. And guys, don't get discouraged because you're not perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is to get better every time. I mean, I'm 31, 32. I don't want to be perfect by 35. I don't want to be perfect ever. I want to always fight and move towards the object or my goal, and then become better and better and better. Because I think there really isn't a place where you get there and you're like, this is it. This is the place. Like you always want to constantly be growing. You want to be working on yourself, developing. If you have something that you can pass down to your employees or your workers or your colleagues or something to uplift them, by all means do it, because I've been there, and it's super cool for me to like talk to somebody that's like going through something. I'm like, dude, I remember when I was right there, and like, you might want to like tweak this or do that. And I think you will, and I get a call like a week later, bro, like that shit worked. Like, I didn't think about that. Oh, okay. That's nice that I can help you, Yeah. I think that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. We're not doing it just to hear ourselves talk. Honestly, we're not doing it for that. I barely have time sometimes to listen to the episode because of how hectic life is, But I do manage to make some time to be like, okay, let me make sure we don't sound like complete idiots. But the feedback is what's important to me. I can care less about listening to this podcast throughout the week and, that was a good thing you said right there, Carlos, or hey, Jose, that was a good quote, If people are giving us information and saying, hey, you guys are killing it. Hey, thanks for the information. Hey, you guys are motivating me. Yo, I heard listen to your podcast. It's great. That's what encourages me to come back and continue recording these podcasts, because honestly, that this is an extra for us. This is not something that we're making money or planning on making money out of. This is just an extra thing that we just want to put out there and expose, because it's like there's a lot of people that were in our situation and are in our situation that just need a little bit of motivation just to get through the day, get through the week, get through the month, who knows, through the hour. For all we know, we don't know. So we're here to help.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, dude, this is a good one. This is a good podcast, and it's just like the adrenaline right now, dude. It's just like I just want to like go, but I know we're on time too. But another thing, guys, whenever you want to quit, ask yourself why you did it, right? If you did want to start a business, this is for if you want to start a business, not if you're working for a company, but if you want to start a business, I know typically we want to start it for more money, but the real reason a business is going to work long term, and you know this too by now, is if you really aim to solve the client's problem.
Mm-hmm.
Solving problems is why business is called business.
Mm-hmm.
But the compensation is a fee or whatever. But if you start business to chase money down, best believe you're going to want to quit because it doesn't get easier.
Nope.
Money is complicated. Finance is complicated when starting a business, building a business. In the process of building, I mean, I always want to look at it like a 10-year mark. Like maybe after the 10th year, whatever, you'll probably, see some good stuff there. But early stages, if you're in it to chase money, you're probably going to want to quit.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be motivated by it. Like,
of course,
there's nothing wrong with the aspect of trying to chase the money.
Mm-hmm.
But just like, if you chase the money for too long, all you're gonna do is focus on the money, and you're gonna end up doing all this stuff for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And then you're gonna find yourself in a rut, or find yourself in a situation that is gonna make you look bad or get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced that too, where I focus on the money and I'm like, money, and then I start to notice that my quality starts to go down, or my delivery goes down, or my communication goes down, all because I'm just focused on this little shiny dollar bill instead of like, hey, I need to produce quality. Hey, I need to help my client with this. Hey, I need to make sure that I approach this with this situation. So then when I take that mindset out, the money mindset out, and focus on my craft, it's like, it's so crazy. Everything just starts to come in, like naturally. Like if you put 100% in your work, you stay focused, you stay driven, you stay on it, everything else is gonna come.
The money follows,
and the money is gonna come. Obviously, you want to be compensated for your time, for the service that you give, but just do it at the rate that you feel you deserve, and you'll start to continue to see it all just flourish. And it's flourishing for me. I was in a position a year or two ago where I was just questioning what I was doing. Like, what am I even doing? What is this thing that I created? I didn't even know what I created.
Yeah.
And then now in the last few months of doing this podcast and working with other clients, I'm like, oh, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, this is my niche. This is what Anchor Mind Projects is. And it's helped me understand myself. It's helped me understand my brand, and it's helped me understanding working with other people. And like you said, we're problem solvers. You know, whether you're in the landscaping industry where you're trying to solve a problem for people to getting a beautiful lawn, or you're in my situation in content creation industry where I'm trying to solve people to help them get exposure. So it just generally, there's so much that goes into this. It's insane how like encouraging it is to like just stand in front of this camera and just be like, just keep going, going. No matter how tough you think it is, just keep going.
I remember, I think it was my second year. The first year was pretty good. It might have been close to my third year.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I had employees. We're investing in trucks and things were going smooth. And I was like, dude, we're getting some traction. We're going. And I remember I was still living in my other house, the little house where I was renting. And then I remember getting a letter from the IRS. Ooh, the IRS, right? You're like, oh, shit. So I didn't think much of it. And then I opened it up and it said, hey, you owe, at that time it was like $12,500 to the IRS, no exceptions, blah, blah, blah. My heart dropped. Like, going on third year in business, fucking $12,000, which was like a fuckload of money to me. Like,
you're like, I don't even have.
Yeah, I'm like, I was already investing in all the trucks and everything, and like I didn't, it wasn't there.
Yeah,
my heart dropped. I remember like reading the letter, fucking looking up, fucking discouraged as fuck. I like put my back against the refrigerator and I'm like visualizing this as I'm telling you. And like I slowly started like not falling, but like sitting on the floor, like dragging myself. Sat on the floor and I was like just upset about the situation. Like, damn, that's a shitload of money. And my son, he's 2 years old around that time. He comes around like, what's wrong, Daddy? No, nothing. I'm fine. He's like, no. He's like, it's okay. And it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Bro, like my skin, like I'm getting like goosebumps. Like that, his little voice telling me like, it's gonna be okay. Like that money didn't fucking matter anymore. I'm like, I'm going to get this money. I'm going to find a way to figure this out. Just when I almost wanted to quit, because I was like, why 2.5 years I'm trying to build this shit, and then like this hiccup is gonna probably shut me down or whatever, or like because I got scared of the IRS and all that. His voice was just like, the motive of the money or the company was nothing. I'm doing this for my family, and I will not fail to do this for them. So I talk to CPA and all that, and we figured out a payment plan, whatever. It took me fucking forever to pay it, but we got through it. It wasn't the end of the world for me. When I first read it, I thought it was the end of the world. Yeah. So, and I'm telling this, and this is genuine, this is honest, this is what happened to me. Like, I'm sure people are probably going through that. Don't quit. Don't think because you want to build a business. Look at your family. If you have kids, a lot of guys in business now don't have kids. They're younger, but there's reasons why you started the business, and you said there's nothing wrong with if you started it because you want to, own a badass car or get something that's materialistic. If that is what drives you, let that drive you. But always remember, bring people up with you, uplift people. Don't do this to feed your ego. Do this to help others. And when you start realizing that you're doing these things to become, to deliver to the community and to help out people around you, this is not something just for yourself. Everything else follows. Yeah. If you're a problem solver, people are going to talk about how great of a problem solver you are. They can tell their friends, their family, their colleagues, everything. You're going to stay in business. People are going to keep calling you. People are going to keep recommending you. But if you cheat someone out for a quick buck, your relationship just finished right there.
Yeah, and those potential relationships that person or company can bring you.
Yeah.
Anytime I find a new client or get on a call with somebody, I have to remind myself that this is a network that I haven't touched yet. So this person reached out to me. They found me through whatever client I did have, because I don't even market myself. A lot of my clients are all from reference, and this person could potentially bring me other references. So I have to also view it that way whenever I meet with a new client. I have to think, look, this is a new client, a potential new client, but this new client could potentially bring me 4 or 5 more clients.
Yep.
So if I view it that way, I have to think about it that way, because it helps me distract myself from thinking about, oh, this is going to make me more money. It's time to make more money. Let's do it. No, I have to tell myself, this is new network. This is new potential new clients, and this is new relationships. Yep. And this is a new thing. So I get to be tested on my craft.
Exactly.
It's a new uncomfortable situation that I haven't had. So anytime I end up getting on a call with somebody or getting with a client, I have to remind myself of those things, because that's what's going to help me, 1, present myself how I'm supposed to present myself.
Yep. And
then 2, stay focused and stay driven. One of my biggest goals right now is to buy a house within the next, 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Even sooner, but that's one of my biggest goals right now. Like, one of those goals that I'm trying to attain is to buy a house. So, it's a long shot, but it'll happen. It'll happen.
You're on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, so, this whole podcast was just focused on don't quit. This whole podcast was just focused on staying driven, staying focused, and staying motivated. No matter when it gets tough, when it gets hard, when you want to quit, when you want to throw in the towel, don't do it. Ask for help, look for guidance, whether it's whatever guidance you may find, just look for it and it'll be there for you. So, any last words?
No, I think we covered good points. People need to find their why they started, how they're going to get there. And I don't know if I recommended the book. I'm always in my books, right? But I know I told you, and I'd like to tell everybody, Outwitting the Devil, right? Outwitting the Devil. It's a really good, quick read. Yeah. I know it was recommended to me, and I love the book. I'm like going to go back and read it again. But in moments of quitting and wanting to quit, you're going to read that book, guys. You'll understand why the devil works his his, whatever he does to get in your head and make you want to, turn a different direction when you really want to get to where you want to get. So, just fight through it. It's like they say too, when you want to grow a tree or whatever, it starts with the seed, and then there's work involved. You gotta,
There's water.
You don't just walk away from it. It's going to die. The seed's going to die. You got to keep watering it, fertilizing it, and the tree's going to grow large enough to then produce fruit. And what took you a few years, now you're enjoying the sweet oranges from the tree,
Yeah. So Outwitting the Devil. We'll put it on the description notes at the bottom. And if you guys have any other books or anything, any material you guys want us to recommend, Jose is very big on books. I don't know how many books he's read since he started his business. Myself, I wish I could say the same thing. I'm not that much of a bookworm, but I'm becoming one because I'm starting to think more as a businessman. Yes. But the one thing that I do recommend, and that's currently what I'm reading and listening to, is Essentialism. And it's about basically figuring out how to do more by doing less. So if you're in the situation where you find yourself putting out a lot of fires or doing a lot of different things all at once, this book will help you kind of narrow your focus and help you find some peace. So we'll add both of those books on the bottom in the description. And if you have any suggestions or any ideas that you guys want us to talk about or any questions that you want us to bring up, please do not hesitate to ask. Do not hesitate to ask, because we do this for y'all. Yep. So that's it. All right. So.
All right, guys. As always, thanks for listening in. Thanks for joining us on today's podcast. We want to thank everybody for, supporting the movement, supporting the podcast. And like Carlos said, anything you guys want to listen to, drop it in the comments, DM us. Just reach out. We're here. All right. That's it, guys. As always, stay shining, stay grinding.